Is it working? Okay. This is essentially the video that I was trying to make for you on Facebook, but it was being gay and it wouldn't save it. And so now I'm making it on here because I want to make it, and it makes me happy because I'm not going to tell you on the video because then if other people see it, they'll think I'm dumb. But yeah, um, since you read the first two chapters of Misguided Angel, which are at the back of the keys to repository, that makes me think of suppository. Anyway, I thought I would be nice and read chapter 3, and like it's not gonna spoil anything, and you'll be excited because it's a little teaser, and you're gonna be like, oh my goodness, this is such a lovely taste of what the book is about, and it's really good, and I love it, and it's so full of like action, and it's only chapter 3. Oh my god, it's so good, and yeah. This better work because I'm doing this on my webcam and uploading it somewhere. Hey, hold on, I'm getting there. Alrighty. Chapter 3. The first drops of rain felt like gentle kisses on her cheek, and Skylar hoped it would be nothing but a mild shower. But a glance at the ever-darkening sky told her otherwise. The calm blue horizon was now a palette of gray, red, and black. The clouds swirled together to form a heavy, solid mass. The rain, which had begun like a quiet afterthought, suddenly drummed against the deck in a rising staccato. The thunder cracked, a deep rumbling boom that made her jump. Of course it had to rain, just to make everything more complicated. Skylar reached behind Jack and holstered a short bow that they had asked Getty to procure and stow in the smuggler's locker, a hidden compartment located in the bilge. During their month at sea, they had passed the time by preparing for this escape. After hours, Jack had schooled Skylar in the fine points of the native craft, subterfuge and ammunition, and with Iggy's and Drago's approval, had taught Skylar a rudimentary course in archery. With her steady hands and eye, she had proven an even better shot than Jack. She removed several ironwood arrows from her pack, more handmade weapons fashioned during their captivity. Skylar holstered one against the bow and took position. Their pursuers were still a long way behind for now. She could see them clearly, even through the wind and fog. She bent her knees slightly and willed herself to be a statue in the moving sea, raising the bow and drawing the arrow as far back as she could. When she was sure she had her mark, she let it fly, but the jet ski expertly dodged away. Unperturbed, she reloaded the bow. This time, when she drew the arrow, it lodged in the Venator's knee. The jet ski swerved uncontrollably in the water, and Skylar felt triumphant until the Venator righted again, unfazed by his gaping wound. Meanwhile, Jack kept his eyes straight ahead, a steady hand on the throttle. He was giving the engine everything it had, and it was burning up too fast and too hot, throwing off a shower of sparks. You just IM'd me. Throwing off a shower of sparks and making a horrid, sputtering noise. Skylar looked behind them again. Their pirate boat was doing the best it could, but it wouldn't be long before they were overtaken. The Venators were much closer now, no more than 50 feet away. It rained even harder, and she and Jack were both soaked to the bone as the wind whipped up the waves, and the boat rose and fell in a treacherous roller coaster fashion. She planted her feet, hoping to get more leverage, as columns of water surged onto the deck. She only had 2 arrows left. She had to make them count. She armed up and poised to strike, just in time to see something fiery and blazing aimed right at her. "Skylar!" Jack yelled, pulling her down just as something exploded in the air where she had been standing. Good God, the natives were fast. You just told me you hate when I leave. Where was I? The natives were fast. She hadn't even seen her assailant take aim and fire. Jack kept one hand on the steering wheel, The other hand he kept protectively at her back. "Hellfire," he muttered, as another explosion barely missed the starboard. It's ship talk. I don't know boat talk. And shook the ship. The missiles were outfitted with the deadliest weapon in the Venator's arsenal, the black fire of hell, the only thing on earth that could end the immortal blood running in their veins. "But why would they want us dead?" Skylar asked, above the roar of the storm as she held the bow to her side. Surely the Countess did not wish them that much ill will. Did she hate him that much? "We're collateral damage now," Jack said. "She was only keeping us alive while it was convenient for her, but now that we've escaped, her ego can't take it. She'll kill us just to make a point that no one defies the Countess." The boat bounced across the swelling waves, each time landing with a hard jolt, a rickety crunch of bolt and nail against wood and water. The engine was shot. It felt as if it was only by their sheer will that the makeshift speedboat held together. Another blast rocked the helm of the ship, closer this time. The next one would sink them. Skylar leapt from her hiding place, and in quick, inhuman succession pulled off the last two shafts. This time her arrows pierced the gas tank of the nearest jet ski, which exploded upon impact. They didn't have time to celebrate as another missile sailed over the bow, and Jack turned the wheel sharply to the right, only to come directly upon a 10-foot-tall wave that swallowed the ship whole. The pirate boat burst through on the other side, miraculously still intact. Skylar looked over her shoulder. Two Venators left. They were so close she could see the outline of their goggles and the silver stitching on their leather gloves. The Venators' faces were impassive. They didn't care if she and Jack lived or died, if they were innocent or guilty. They only took orders, and their orders were to shoot to kill. A crashing wave took them precariously off balance, the ship tilting forward until it was almost vertical, then slammed back hard on the opposite end. Any moment now they were bound to capsize. They were out of arrows. They were out of options. "We'll have to ditch the ship. We'll go faster if we swim," Skylar said. It was the same thing Jack was thinking, she knew. It was just hard for him to say it, because swimming meant being separated from each other. "Don't worry. I'm strong. As are you." She exchanged her dry smile with her love. Jack gripped the steering wheel, his jaw clenched. "You're sure?" "Meet me in Genoa," she told him, the nearest coastal town from their current location, 30 miles to the north. He nodded, and a picture appeared in her mind to show he knew it as well. The crowded port city ringed by mountains, colorful boats of every stripe bobbing in the harbor. From there they could hike through the rugged terrain to Florence. "Swim out as far as you can. I'll aim the ship at the remaining jet skis," Jack said. He held her gaze for a moment. Skylar nodded. "On my count." "I can do this," Skylar thought. "I know I'll see Jack again. I believe it." There wasn't any time for a last kiss, or a last word of any sort. She felt Jack's countdown more than heard it, her body executing the commands before her brain could register them. By 3 she was already diving off the edge, already plowing down into the deep, dark water, already kicking her legs against the tide, already measuring her breath. As a vampire she could swim underwater for longer stretches than her human counterparts, but she would have to be careful not to waste energy. Above the surface she heard a sickening crash as the pirate ship slammed into their enemies. The darkness of the sea was absolute, but after a while Skylar's eyes adjusted. She pushed her hands against the water, churning, muscles pushing and aching against the heavy water. She watched the bubbles rise to the surface. She could go 5 minutes without air, and she had to make good use of it. At last her lungs screamed for oxygen, and she began to kick up towards the surface. She had no desire now except to breathe. So close. So close. Yes, one more kick and she would break through. Yes. A cold, bony hand grasped her ankle, keeping her down, pulling her back into the deep. Skylar squirmed and kicked. She twisted so that she could see who was holding her. Below, a female Venator seemed to float effortlessly in the dark water. Her attacker assessed her coolly and continued to pull. "You are under the protection of the Countess. To deny this protection is an act against the coven. Submit or be destroyed." The hand gripped her ankle in a solid lock. Skylar could feel herself weakening. She would pass out soon if she didn't get air. Her lungs were about to burst. She was dizzy and starting to panic. Stop it, she told herself. She had to be calm. The glom, use the glom. Release me, she demanded, sending her compulsion so strong she could feel the words taking physical form, each letter an attack upon the Venator's cerebellum. The hands on her ankle shook slightly, and that was all Skylar needed. She burst away just as the Venator sent a compulsion of her own. Skylar ducked and sent it back tenfold. Think! The compulsion was a punch to the stomach, and the Venator flew backward into the deep as if propelled downward by a sinking cannonball tied to her ankle. It would take her to the bottom of the ocean, hopefully giving Skylar enough time to get away. She scrambled to get above the waves, finally breaking through to the surface, gasping for air. The rain, cold as a dead man's fingers, lashed her cheeks. She chanced to look back. Their little motorboat was on fire, burning, sparks of black flame shooting up towards the heavens. Jack made it out, she told herself. Of course he did. He had to. A few feet away, Skylar could see another jet ski circling the fiery carcass. But why hadn't the Venator gone after Jack? Skylar wondered. Unless he was already... She couldn't finish the thought. She wouldn't. She pushed her head underneath the waves. The Genoa port. She began to swim. Oh, it's so exciting! Oh my goodness, I wonder what happens. Oh, it's a mystery. You'll have to read it when I'm done. Haha. Anyways, I love you bunches, and I can't wait to see you next week. I'm gonna end up spending all of my money because it's gonna be expensive, but it'll be fun. And we'll have lots of fun in Niagara Falls and in Buffalo and stocking things. I mean, we don't stalk people. We don't do that. That's not something we do. We don't know. No, that's not us. Anyway, I love you. Bye bye.